For us, just for perspective, we went from having very, very few people actually working remotely, certainly full time, to having now 98% of our employees working from home full time. So it was a big change, obviously, for us. So across kind of four things from an infrastructure point of view. We're in the process of and accelerated a lot of investments in network capacity, things around our VPN, like split tunneling to better manage traffic, putting in place remote application performance monitoring tools. So we really have the ability to understand how our applications are performing now in a remote environment. That was never really a priority, right? They were managed inside the network, and you can see the performance that way. So there's some additional things we need to do there. Applications, we had just moved on to Teams from Skype kind of in January, which was great. But the usage of things like Teams has of course skyrocketed. And other collaborative applications are being expanded. So things like Miro with sort of virtual whiteboarding, use of some of the capabilities in the Office apps. To get the people there, though, we recognize that there was just a ton of training and development in terms of courses and tip sheets. So obviously making sure that material was available, but also making sure that people were were being given the time and the support to take that training and understand and learn the tools that they needed to work from home. Not having an expectation that people already knew how to use them. They were pretty widely used in IT, but outside of IT, that really wasn't the case. And then finally, culturally, which we've talked about, which is for a relatively conservative company, doing more things like having sort of social events online. So we've done team meals now, become everyone ordering from food delivery services and eating their meals together. We've used an interesting tool called Lunch Pool, which kind of is this sort of mashup between Second Life and video conferencing, kind of to do a social event where you can kind of move from virtual table to virtual table and drop in on conversations and have them a small video chat. So just a lot of pieces like that to try and make sure that the online experience is as best as possible. So it's not something people have to worry about as they deal with everything else that's going on.
Employee experience likely is a reflection or a lens of culture, right? And now we have these three categories of people that are not working in the office. We have the information workers who are used to doing it, right? A lot of them were already working at home, or at least partially. We have task workers who probably rarely worked at home, right? The contact center, the administrative people. We've got to really sort of provide a different foundation for them. And then, of course, the essential workers, to which we need to still be out in the market, right? They still need to be in the grocery stores. They still need to be in the manufacturing plant. They still need to be there. And we need to think about their sort of health and safety and security. So we want to think about sort of a credo. And what we usually say, especially when we're talking about Zoom, is you are inviting us into your home, and therefore it's your rules, right? If your rules are you need to take a walk every afternoon, if your rules are the kids can come in and go, if your rules are you only want to work from 8 till 10, that's perfectly fine. These are your rules. If you want to wear pajama pants and see a picture of Walt Disney World, that's fine, right? These are your rules, and therefore we're going to be with that. And then you've got to think about sort of grander things, like you need to be sensitive to the family. You need to be flexible for personal needs. You should be okay if you're not camera ready. If you want to be audio only, that's fine, right? We're going to constantly be kind, right? It's about extra sensitivity in that world, and we're going to frequently be in contact with you. We're going to keep that leadership, especially especially senior management, right? You really need to have that open door policy, and that might in fact mean an open Zoom, whereas people can knock on your door, come in, ask you a question, and leave when they need to. And that's also reflective in the actual physical world in the office, right? It can't just be sort of a soft VDI environment, or now we need to give them a decent sized laptop with decent technology. Maybe we've got to supply them with a webcam and a microphone. Maybe we need to start paying for their internet access, right? We've got to give them the experience at home like they would have the experience in the office. In fact, it's much more likely going forward that work from home will be the norm instead of the exception. And therefore, office space may change from offices and meeting rooms to mostly meeting rooms and a few offices, and most of your actual work gets done at home. We got to think about what that means. So in combination, it's all sort of delivering on that culture for that employee experience.
My big focus is about creating community, creating team spirit. And that is an extension to their families, right? So when we start to, like what Paul mentioned, we are now under their umbrella, so to speak, or their roof. And we've got to accept not just our employees, but their kids, their grandparents, whoever's in that household, the dogs, they're our responsibility as well. So when I think of it that way, some of the things I break it down into physically, emotionally, mentally type of focus areas. So physically, how do we keep our employees in shape? So we create out a workout program. Someone mentioned yoga. So we call it the, what do we call it? The warrior workout or something. And it's Fridays at 1:30. So whoever wants it at 10, I'll give you a Zoom to it. But it's a good little workout. And the objective is really just to bring people together, create community for the people that want to participate. But more importantly, to think, I'm trying to get the message out, you got to take care of your physical body. And being at home and sometimes being isolated where you can't even go outside the way it was before, you know, people have gained weight, right? And this is kind of how we're trying to work on that. Emotionally, how do we, you know, sales reps before used to be out more socially. So now they're in with their families. And right or wrong, it might not be a good thing. And so how do you deal with that side of it and work with them to make sure that they have someone to talk to like we have in the office before, or at the, you know, watering hole, so to speak, that Thursdays like Monique does, right? And then how do we make sure that they're mentally inspired and informed and empowered, encouraged, and that is to make them better than where they were before. So we all have more time to either read a book potentially, or do more training, or, you know, sharpen your, you know, if you want to learn French or a different language, how do how do we keep ourselves mentally sharp on not just the work that we want them to do, but mentally for themselves, to keep them sharp. And I think, you know, all those areas that we're trying to do and focus on those three elements. And of course, from a leadership side, I tell my leaders that, you know, this is kind of where leaders really shine, right? The people that step up and the people that take accountability for their employees and their families by making themselves available.
I think everyone's done similar things, but the thing that I think Marcel touched on is it's leadership, and leadership from our organization has been fantastic. And we know that the challenges that people have and the organization has, especially with strong extroverts that are out there that want to be in the office. He has a weekly touch point every Friday that he has a video that sends out to the rest of the organization showing him from his home office with the beard, without a beard, long hair, short hair. He's been very good and engaged with the organization, which has really filtered down, or has cascaded down to all the other managers. And you guys all spoke to them. You know, you had your lunchtime meetings together, and he promoted that. He promoted that across the organization. He wanted teams and leaders to meet with each other. A video where we could. We try to limit video just because of bandwidth. But again, he wants to give everybody an opportunity to see each other. And as we start to progress, we also started to engage third parties to help us with wellness programs, how to deal with delineation between work and home life, how to manage your elderly or your children while you're on calls all day long. These are all the things we're having little workshops, not workshops, or more information sessions weekly, and spreading them out across weeks, just so that people get ideas as to how to manage their home life. But altogether, we've been doing, it's been a very collaborative environment. And again, we come from an organization that was not work from home. We didn't have a work from home policy. Other than IT, I think everybody was in the office and all in the same building. At least 90% of our people were in the same building in downtown Toronto. So it was a complete shift, and it required a lot of people to think differently. So we're learning. I think the next challenge that we are getting is that the people, the longer they stay at home, because again, you have to have some empathy for the people that are out there that don't have the luxury of a large home. There's a lot of people that live downtown with, you know, they're living with their mother and their wives and the children all in a small condo and such, and escaping all of that for a few hours is extremely important for them. And we have to make sure that we keep track of them and keep in touch with them to ensure that we're moving them forward with our organization, and we understand that there are challenges that they have.
I have to say that, you know, it takes a pandemic to move digital transformation forward. At Cargojet, we never had a work at home policy, even for IT, although I was trying to sneak that in for the last 2 years. So IT was totally prepared, and I was letting my employees, the team leaders, work from home a couple of days a week, as long as there was some coverage in the department. So our transition was pretty smooth. We had Teams installed, people were using Teams, and that's been a real bonus, having Teams. And I have to say our leadership has been fantastic. Everybody who can work from home is now working from home. Obviously, our business benefited a lot because we are doing, all the people who are not going out, the e-commerce has gone up, so Amazon, UPS, like you name it, everybody's volumes have gone up. And in addition to that, we are flying 2 flights a day to China to bring back PPE. So demands have gone up on our pilots, on our aircraft. Fortunately, the price of oil was low, so that helped. So I have a meeting every day with my team. And, you know, our CEO has a meeting every 2 weeks with the whole company. And that's more of an audio call and he has a phone number that they can send messages to throughout the week. People call him personally, send emails, send suggestions. And with my teams, I started to, and they all realize how grateful they are because everybody's getting hardship pay. Even people who were working from home for the first 6 weeks got hardship pay. So it was really, it kept up the morale. We already had a clear accountabilities and deliverables, so that wasn't an issue. I also wanted to develop their skill sets. So I said, let's take turn hosting the meetings. So everybody takes a turn hosting the meeting and they learn how to conduct meetings. And we start off with whoever hosts the meeting starts off with something of gratitude. So we start off on a positive note. We've also done yoga sessions, or actually stretching sessions for them. You know, we had subscriptions to Coursera and Udemy, and they were all coming up. And so I've asked them to do professional, I'm encouraging them to do professional development and, you know, commit to a certain level of certain number of hours in whatever areas of interest, whether it's soft skilled, which is where, you know, they lack most, or any other new technology that they want to learn. And I would reimburse them for for all their costs. So there is a lot of incentive to get better skills